Hello everybody, today we'll be starting the second series on my channel going over De Principiis Naturae by St. Thomas Aquinas, or On the Principles of Nature. The first chapter is called Being in Potency and Being in Act, but real quick, I'm going to say a little bit about this series. This one is going to only happen once a week because the chapters in this book are significantly longer than those in Occam, so it's going to take me a little bit longer to produce each of these videos. They're going to be a little bit more complex. So, yeah. That being said, let's jump right in. Act, potency, substance, and accident. So, first, Aquinas gives us a subdivision of the way things exist. Things exist as they could be or as they are. So, something is in potency if it's one of those things which could exist. So tomorrow you could eat a hot dog, or you could eat a cherry pie. Both of those things exist in potency, but they don't exist in act, because you aren't currently eating a hot dog or currently eating a cherry pie. Not that I would want to eat either of those. But potency is just the way things could be, and act is the way things are. Now, there are two ways that things could be in potency or act, and that is substantially or accidentally. So if you're in act, or if you exist substantially, then you exist in yourself and not in another. And if you exist accidentally, you exist in another and not in yourself. So think of a water molecule. A water molecule exists in itself. But the vibrational speed, like the speed of the vibrations of the water molecule, exist in the molecule. They don't exist in themselves. So the speed of the vibration exists in the molecule, but not in itself. So the water molecule here is the substance, and the vibrational speed is the accident. Another example of this would be, say, spatial location. A water molecule exists in a spatial location, but the spatial location that it is at is in it, not the other way around. Another example could be the position of sitting or standing. A human sits or stands, but the sitting or the standing is dependent on what the human is doing, not the other way around. So, yeah, the substance and accident. Now, there's a quick addendum I have here to explain some of this. So, this terminology, because it can get tricky if you don't have these ideas hammered out beforehand. So, an essence is a complete nature of a thing. Essence includes, for humans at least, both form and matter. Form is just the actual existence of a thing, and then matter is the way it could be. So form is the component of actuality in an essence, and matter is the component of potency. Now, both form and matter could exist substantially or accidentally. So form could exist substantially as a human. You are a human. The actual component of the human is your substantial form. And then your accidental form could be whether you're sitting or standing, your skin color, your height. And then the matter is the way a thing could be. So a human has the substantial potency to become a corpse. But it has the accidental potency to stand up, or the accidental potency to grow a few inches, at least if you're a kid. Yeah. That'll be the end of the addendum. Now, there are some classifications about matter that Aquinas makes, to do with substance and accidents yet again. Now, matter in potency to exist substantially is matter from which, because that's that from which the substance comes. And then matter to exist in potency to exist accidentally is matter in which, because it exists in a substance, as I said earlier. Now, the thing which continues to exist over a substantial change is prime matter. That is, when a substance goes from being a man to a corpse, or a tree to a pile of wood, The thing which continues to exist over these changes is prime matter, but the thing which persists over an accidental change is just a substance. So when a kid grows a few inches taller, he's still the same kid, but he's changed a little bit. So his accidents have changed, but his substance is just the same. Now, a quick note on dependency that Aquinas makes is essences have an active existence, and matter only shares in the existence of essences. Matter is kind of parasitic or dependent on essence for its existence. Potency requires the essence to exist, not vice versa. Now we have matter and form versus act and potency. Matter is whatever is in potency to exist, and form is what actually exists, or what exists in act. Pretty self-explanatory. These two concepts are just correlates. Yeah. And then whatever makes something exist substantially is substantial form, and whatever makes something exist accidentally is accidental form. So what makes you exist as a sitting human rather than a standing human is your accidental form of sitting or standing. But what makes you a human and not a tree is your substantial form. Next, we have some stuff about generation and corruption. Generation is the thing which is coming to be, and corruption is kind of like the thing that was lost. So when you go from sitting to standing, you have generated the form of standing, and you've corrupted the form of sitting. So generation and corruption are said without qualification when they take place in the genera of substance, and they are said with qualification when they take place in any genera other than substance. So what this means here is that generation and corruption, when you change from a man to a corpse or a tree to a pile of wood, that would be generation or corruption absolutely. And generation or corruption, depending on your sitting or standing or how many leaves the tree has, are just generation or corruption with qualification, or not absolutely. And then finally, we have the 3 prerequisites for generation, which is a being in potency, which is matter, a state of not existing in act, which is privation, and that through which something comes to actually be, which is form. So you have the way you could be, which is matter. You have the fact that you don't actually exist as that thing, which is privation. And you have the actually coming to be, which is form. So when you're sitting down, you are in potency to standing. You could stand up. You aren't actually standing, which is the privation. And then you're actually sitting. Now, when you change, when you go from sitting to standing, you have actualized that potency. You no longer have the privation of standing. You have the actual form of standing. And I have a quick note here. In the next chapter, I'm going to explain 2 analogous meanings of the term privation, because it's used in at least 2, possibly 3 different ways. Anyway, that will be all for the episode today. Again, I'm only going to be posting these once a week because these episodes are much harder to make. But yeah, thank you for listening.